Where your treasure is, there will your heart be also. God has given us unlimited treasures in His Word. Every time we open it, we can discover a new treasure or admire an old one. What will we find today? Here's Carla Early with Treasure Hunt in the Word.
If you've noticed in the Bible, God doesn't use a lot of descriptive phrases in His narratives. In poetry, yes, but as we read Acts, it's mostly just facts. So when God led Luke to use certain strong Greek words to describe things, we need to sit up and pay attention, especially when those specific words aren't used anywhere else in the New Testament. A few of these are used to describe Saul before his conversion. When we first meet Saul, the young man was guarding the cloaks of those who were stoning Stephen, consenting to this with pleasure, as the word used in Acts 1:8 tells us. Then Saul began going house to house, searching out Christians. The word used here says he was wreaking havoc, trying to destroy the church. This is the strongest Greek word possible, found nowhere else in the New Testament, but other sources use it to describe the destruction of a city or someone being mauled by a wild animal. In today's passage, Saul is breathing threats and murder against the disciples of the Lord. In the lexicon, even the word breathe in indicates that threats and slaughters of Christians were the source of which he breathed instead of air. How descriptive is that? He literally wanted to kill them all. Like Hitler, not being satisfied to get the Jews out of Germany, he wanted all of them dead. Saul was completely obsessed with ridding the Jewish religion of what he considered blasphemies, and he was doing this with the full consent of the high priest and the council. Who knows how many trips to how many towns he'd already taken before he asked for letters to the synagogues of Damascus so he could travel there to find and drag back more Christians in chains. But this trip would be very different. Life-changing, in fact. As Saul traveled to Damascus, probably escorted by a group of temple police, he suddenly saw a blinding light. It was Jesus, the light of the world. The men with him saw nothing, but heard the voice say, "Saul, Saul, why are you persecuting me?" Now notice God didn't say, "Why are you persecuting my children?" Because whatever is done to one of his, he takes it personally. Jesus identified himself. "I am Jesus Christ, whom you were persecuting." Perhaps at this point, Saul remembered his teacher Gamaliel's advice when Peter and John came before the council in Acts 5. He said, "Keep away from these men and let them alone. For if this work is of man, it will come to nothing. But if it is of God, you cannot overthrow it, lest you even be found to be fighting against God." At this point, Saul was blinded. His traveling companions helped him into the town and then disappeared. Strangely enough, though physically blind, Saul could see better than he'd ever been able to spiritually. In those 3 days of fasting and praying, before God sent Ananias to heal him, Saul could focus more clearly on who Jesus was and what he had done. Now that he knew all of this was true, all of his training and lifetime of learning scriptures had to switch from the old way of thinking to the new. His brain had to be rewired. Imagine all the light bulbs going off in his head. Suddenly everything made sense. Do you remember when the Bible first started making sense to you? Not just a bunch of separate stories, but a coherent whole. It's not going to do that on its own. The Holy Spirit is involved in clarifying His Word. If you read something you don't understand or have a question about, I encourage you to pray about it. Don't immediately look it up in a commentary or ask someone else. Ask the Holy Spirit inside of you to make it clear to you and teach you. Commentaries are helpful, but it's the Holy Spirit that does the work inside of you. What questions do you have for Him today?
You can contact us at treasurehuntintheword@gmail.com. We'd love to hear the treasures God has given you through His Word. You can listen to other episodes at our website, which you can find in the description below. Thanks for listening, and remember, where your treasure is, there will your heart be also.